This is SEC Volleyball on the SEC Network, and a terrific early conference season clash between LSU and South Carolina at the Carolina Volleyball Center. Welcome with RJ Abella, Kevin Fitzgerald. This is going to be a very competitive Sunday matchup, and South Carolina welcomes maybe the most prolific offensive player in the SEC. That's Taylor Bannister.
She actually is. She's the reigning offensive player of the week for the SEC, and she's a force to reckon with. And if you look at it, her last match against Georgia, she had 53 attempts. Next closest Tiger had 32.
Leads the SEC with more than 5 points per set. On the other side, it's a little bit more of a balanced, spread-out offensive attack for South Carolina. And RJ, you have to start with Michaela Shields, though.
Definitely. Michaela Shields has been a staple to the South Carolina offense, and best believe LSU is going to have a plan for her, but South Carolina has another Michaela on the roster that they have to reckon with, in Michaela Robinson, who's probably one of the more physical and higher blockers in the SEC. So it should be a pretty good matchup.
Tops on this team with 36 blocks. South Carolina 10-1. Is this its toughest matchup this year?
Looking at the preseason schedule, I would definitely say this is probably South Carolina's biggest test when it comes to physicality. And you look at LSU and Fran Flory's Tigers, the record doesn't really demonstrate what their capabilities on the court. They've played some tough teams. Fran is a very experienced head coach and knows what to do when it comes to scheduling and preparing her squad for a very tough and long SEC season.
Her LSU teams have been to the NCAA tournament 9 times in the last 13 years. She has been in Baton Rouge for more than 20 years. He has been in Columbia for less than a year. That is Tom Mendoza. This is his first season as the head coach. What have you thought about Tom? First impressions?
Now, looking what Tom has done in his short time here in Columbia, lots of changes have been made to this team, and maybe not necessarily volleyball-wise, but from a mentality, from the culture standpoint. You know, we were talking to him during their serve and pass, and he talked about how these Gamecocks they all want to win. They want to be great, but maybe they just all weren't going in the same direction, or they had the right road plan.
And away we go. Michaela Robinson for South Carolina with that first swing. Now the other side of the floor, Brittany McClain. Tom Mendoza's first year here. Same for Brittany McClain, the transfer.
And a very interesting story with McClain. She spent 2 years at the University of Minnesota, and the last matches she played there were in the NCAA tournament. So the Big Ten is arguably probably one of the best volleyball conferences, if not the best. So she has some very high-level experience that she'll bring to this squad.
And a quick 2-0 start for South Carolina right out of the gates.
And look who it is. It's Michaela Robinson, like we were talking about at the beginning of this broadcast. And you actually have both Michaelas in the front row for South Carolina. And for LSU, Bannister is out on the outside. And you see her take a little off on that.
It sets up Michaela Shields, and that finds an open spot on the floor.
And this is going to be such an exciting matchup. And you have South Carolina's hottest hitter right now, Michaela Shields, and her blocker in front of her is not a small block in Taylor Bannister. So we've talked about Taylor Bannister being able to swing, but she also is a really good block.
She gets set up once again. Bannister, 6'5", RJ.
That's not a short attacker by any means.
Robinson with another kill. This is a 4-0 start for South Carolina.
And, you know, it's something that's a little different. They're definitely pushing their middle attackers more. We've seen majority of the attacks come out of the middle, and it's Robinson that's putting it away. So a lot of that deals with ball control, and can we get the pass close enough to the net to feed our middles? That's definitely what I would be, if I were Tom Mendoza, is tell him, get the pass to the net so we can feed our middles more consistently. Right now, you're kind of seeing with the Tigers, ball control is kind of inconsistent right now, where they can't feed their middles as much, which will open up more opportunities for Bannister.
Oh, there's Bannister. Aubrey Ezell kept it alive. It was only a matter of time, and Bannister has the first kill, so LSU is on the board.
And if you look at that matchup, so we talked about Michaela Shields one-on-one with Bannister. Well, Bannister has to face both Michaela's when she attacks in these couple of rotations, and she still finds a way to score.
The reigning Offensive Player of the Week in the SEC. Kaler sets for McLean.
And unfortunately, the ball goes out of bounds just because it clipped the antenna. So regardless if the ball lands in the court or in the playing area, as soon as it touches that antenna, it is an out-of-bounds attack.
Let's see what LSU can do, and if there is a response, South Carolina punches right back.
And the remarkable thing there was that Courtney Kaler was probably 13 feet off the net, and she still fired the ball to her middle in Michaela Robinson.
Much improved year for the junior setter now, Kaler, right?
Kaler's had some great setting coaches kind of throughout her career. Last year with the staff change, they added Adriana Colbert, who was an ABCA All-American that played at Colorado State, now full-time assistant at Northern Colorado, so she got to teach her a little more. And then South Carolina and Tom Mendoza adds a new coach to his staff with Ethan Feaster, who was more of a setter coach. And interestingly enough, his previous team he worked with, the LSU Tigers.
His old coaching staff is about 50 feet away. So Tom Mendoza's team is out to a 7-3 lead. Plenty of blocks early on.
And once again, they feed it right to the middle. And it's kind of the smart offensive game plan. When you have Michaela Shields in the front row, your blockers kind of have to be spread out so you can also respect Shields. So with that spread out blocking package, you open up more one-on-one attempts for your middles like Robinson.
Azel's serve too far. So LSU will serve. You expect to see that for a good bit of this first set?
It'll be interesting. Azel is one of the top servers, not just the SEC, but in the country. And so if she just needs to stay at the service line and rally off some aces, but lo and behold, we're talking about service aces, and Bannister is back there serving Jess Vastine, the pass to attacker for the Gamecocks, and clipping it down the line.
Into the net for Bannister.
That was
back and
just
forth we go
bad
now.
luck. Bad luck. We talk about serving and right in the middle of the net there.
Shields, one of the best in the SEC. She leads South Carolina in points, in kills. Edwards kept it alive. Although it's a point for LSU.